Hi, I'm Dominic Patten, and welcome back to another edition of Deadline's Next Generation video series, where we talk to up-and-comers and the stars of tomorrow. Today, I'm talking to Cory Hardrict and Katrina Law of Sony Crackle's The Oath, which debuted in March. Thank you so much for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us here.
Thank you.
So let's give people a sense of the show, for people who haven't seen it. This is a show that really looks at the gangs within police forces and kind of deals with, it's almost multi-layers of corruption. And they're basically a gang is put together to infiltrate the gangs and bring it down. Sean Bean stars, 50 Cent's one of the producers, which is Mo Money, so in lots of different ways. But 50's got great taste. I mean, look at Power, right?
Yeah.
So give us a sense for you guys. What attracted you to this project, and what keeps you interested in it?
Wow, what attracted me was it was all on the page. It felt like 10 gritty, independent films, and it was real, and it was something really dangerous, and it had a family element to it that I was just like, wow, everything that I can dream of being on a TV show, it was right there, and I was just like, sign me up.
Now, Katrina, for you, obviously you were in Spartacus. Obviously you had an ongoing run in Arrow. So for you, a role like this, is this something that for you was different for you, or would you feel like you were tapping into muscles that you had exercised before as an actress?
This role, I wouldn't say it's a complete departure from what I've done before, but it's definitely the meatiest role that I've gotten to do. The thing that attracted me to this role was when I got the audition sides, I remember reading the scene just thinking, wow, this is a man's scene. This is something that men usually get to sink their teeth into, and the fact that I got to go this hard with a character and be this brutal, it was kind of a dream come true, and just to be able to have that process and know that I was going to be having psychiatrist scenes and having issues with my mom and also being in a cop gang at the same time, it just seemed like a really fleshed out, nuanced world that I wanted to play in.
You know why you're here.
All of them have been ruled as unsubstantiated or justified.
One's still currently open and being investigated.
Maybe. Doesn't mean you need to shrink.
The department needs to know if you're a liability.
A lot of people have said in recent years that the growth of the streaming networks and the streaming services has led to what we call this era of peak TV, but has also led to a quality over quantity type of approach. For you, do you find, you mentioned about, you thought, this is a man scene, yet I'm a woman, I'm playing this scene. Do you think that this is something that we're seeing a departure where we're opening up the genres, opening up the barriers?
I think when you have a format that's only 10 episodes and you know that you don't have a studio or a network basically dictating what you can or cannot do, there leaves a lot of freedom to explore different realms. And it's interesting that people have really gravitated to this because they do want to see something that's outside of the box and not normally what's tackled on network television. And I love network television, but at the same time, you do want to see things about cop gangs, and I don't think a normal television show would tackle something this slice of life because we haven't seen it before, or the different shows that you're getting to see on Crackle or any of the other streaming networks.
And Cory, for you, you've been in 2 Clint Eastwood films.
Yeah.
And Clint has a very particular way of making films, and full marks to you, man, because he's kind of the best to work, one of the best to work with, and you've worked with him twice. For you, what do you think are some of the skills and talents that you learned from working with Clint that you were able to bring to The Oath?
Just stay prepared, be professional, and his limit on takes is like 2 to 0, You gotta be ready to go, because if you don't hit it right away, that could be, you're moving on. So you have to be on your A game at all times, and he just lets you find it, and he just lets you go for it. And the cool thing about The Oath is we had that same, kind of freedom to do that, and we were thrown in this world out in Puerto Rico where, the culture of Puerto Rico, it was the show, you know what I'm saying? And it felt just so real, and it was just a bunch of just humanity at the same time. But it was a great feeling that I feel like was a great experience.
That's one thing, as you say. I mean, you mentioned Puerto Rico. It is almost like Puerto Rico is a character in the show, and that's a part of it. As actors, how do you play? I mean, you guys can obviously play against each other. You can play against other. How do you play against a place, a notion like that?
I think Puerto Rico lends a grittiness to our show that isn't inherent in pretty much any other city across the United States. So just standing in that world, you just absorb it. And the fact that it was so hot and so humid, and the fact that we were sweating and running in this humidity. Cory and I did a lot of running in the show.
A lot of running.
It just makes you feel like you're a part of this gritty world that you don't normally live in.
I've talked to people over the years from The Walking Dead, and they filmed The Walking Dead basically in rural Georgia. And you know, for instance, Jeffrey Dean Morgan has said, like, yeah, I get to play a guy who wears a leather jacket in 120-degree weather, like, and it makes you feel like I'm really doing this.
It
like,
breaks you down.
Yeah. And is that something you enjoy, or is that something that you have to actually kind of muscle up for as an actor?
I think we enjoy it because we know at the end of the day we're going back to the hotel. But when you're in it and you're sweating and you do feel like you're in this place and you're actually living this moment, it's a wonderful tool to have at your disposal. And to look around and see the graffiti on the wall and to see the flavor of Puerto Rico coming at you, it does help you with the acting, and I love being in that environment.
It's because we all gotta stick together now? All this Black Lives Matter noise running through your head, brother?
No, I wouldn't come at you like that. You weren't even raised black.
When this uniform comes off, I get put through the same program as you. But the difference between you and me, even after all that, I don't let my skin define me.
One of the things that I mentioned earlier is Sean Bean is in the show, and Sean is, you know, well, he's alive in this one still, so I mean that's a testament to Sean right there, as opposed to past shows.
He lives.
But he lives, right? Woo, that's the first.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Never know, though, right? You know, I suppose you guys as actors, like, you got to make sure you're not standing next to him too close. Stuff like that. But what is it like? You know, Sean is I mean, I think Sean is one of the great actors of our time in many ways, and not just because I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, actually. You know, what is it for you guys working with someone like Sean? You've got 50 producing. How does that impact the kind of work that you guys do as actors and the way you approach the story, Cory?
Oh wow, we had like some great prison moments, like scenes, like father-son moments, and I can't say, like, acting in those moments, you feel like this, he has like this magnetic power that is just kind of like you have to engage in him, like his eyes, the gravitas of his character, the power, and it just makes you want to just absorb yourself in the character and just play ball with him, and he brings the best out of you. So it was great, you know, it was a pleasure working with him in a lot of scenes, and you know, every time we were acting, I knew I was up for something just of reality. And that's the thing that I love about Sean, working with Sean.
And what about Katrina? What do you think 50 brings as a producer to this?
I think
Besides being way intense. I can say that, he's way intense.
He's actually not intense outside of producing. Like, he's a fun guy, but Katrina, yeah.
No, he showed up on set, and I think everybody just kind of geeked out a little bit, and we're all trying to act really cool around 50, like, hey, and not sing Candy Shop, and you know, just try to be like, you know, just listen to your stuff when
Get rich or die trying, yeah.
Yeah, but no, he has a magical touch. Anything that he touches turns to gold. So to know that he has this much faith and belief in our show, the fact that he's promoting it as much as he does almost gives me more faith in it. So it's really wonderful to have such a powerhouse backing us.
Now, I have to ask this because of the nature of the show. What do cops say to you guys, if anything? I mean, I know, like, if I was on your show, the last thing I'd ever want to do is have a tail light not working and have some cop who's got Sony Crackle watching and say, hey, by the way, not so cool.
You know what, Dom? I haven't encountered any cops. I'm just like, hey, I saw you. Know, so I stay in the house a lot. They're avoiding me. They don't know if we're going to pull out a blowtorch or, you know, Big Brother Steve is going to burn them or something, or, you know, but I mean, I'm sure I'm ready to tackle that conversation when it happens. It just hasn't happened yet, but I think we're making cops proud. Yeah. You know, the good ones and the bad ones.
Sorry. You talk.
No, go.
I have a lot of friends on the East Coast who are cops, and I haven't run into any of them. But I think the interesting thing about this, which I've heard online, not directly contacted by them, but it's shining a light on the bad cops. And this is not glorifying bad cops, and it's not trying to say that what we do is justified or what they do is justified, but it's basically going, this is a real issue that's happening in life, and this is how it goes down.
Well, and here in LA, I mean, with the sheriff's department, this was a big deal. I mean, the deputy sheriff, it turned out, was running one of the lead gangs in this, and this became, it was like pulling back the curtain, and people just didn't realize the extent to which these institutions worked. And if I find in a show like The Oath, you get a sense of not just that, but the people. And that's, you know, I think sometimes we forget that. I think a lot of people, regardless of your feelings about police violence and policing unto itself and the way they do their job, the fact is these are human beings that we're dealing with. And I feel that in many ways the show allows you to talk about that. But do you feel in some ways that this is a topic that people, do they get it?
I don't think most people believe that the premise of our show is based in reality. I feel a lot of people go,
It's interesting.
cop gangs, haha. They believe in gangs, the Italian mafia, the Crips and the Bloods, the Chinese mafia. They believe in all those, but for some reason it's hard to wrap your head around a cop gang, which as it should be, because these are the people that are sworn to protect us. And the majority of them do, but this show really demonstrates and shines a light on how people can wrap their morality and skew their points of view enough to get invested into these gangs, and how it originally feels like they're just trying to do good, how they're just trying to take care of themselves and their family, just trying to take care of their coworkers, and eventually it just warps into this twisted knot of just wrongdoing that eventually will get you arrested or killed.
You know, it reminded me, when I saw the series, Cory, it reminded me a lot of some of the work that you guys did on American Sniper. Because American Sniper in many ways became about the issues of the war in the Middle and Americans' involvement in the Middle East, what have you. It was there, but it became about there were these guys, and the job was like, let's just all get back alive. Let's just get back in one piece. You know, is that something that attracted you to this material? I mean, I'm not trying to make too big a point about it, but it does seem to be a through line in your career.
Yeah, it did. It did attract me because, like I say, the gangs is like a family as well. And then outside of that, we all have our personal families, and we all do want to get back to that life as well. You know what I'm saying? And but it's all depending on what you do in your job, because if something goes wrong or you don't do the right thing or one crazy move left or right, then it's all over for you. So we do keep that in mind, and I kept that in mind just reading the character, and I was just like, wow, he has great like levels, and he's just a real person, being adopted, you know, having a white father, you know, a white brother.
Incarcerated white father.
Incarcerated, you know, a mom, you know, it was just like he's looking for love, you know, and that's what I think it all boils down to, what this world needs more of, you know. It was a colorless role, and, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I feel like the world does need more of that, and it's
all you need is love.
It's love. Love rules everything, and love wins in the end. And you know, I think there's a great message there.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dominic.
I'm Dominic Patten from Deadline Hollywood. Join us for another Next Generation in the coming weeks, and until then, see you around.